are you today? We're so excited to see you. You know, we're often told to grow our online network, but it can seem like an uphill battle, can't it? Where do we go? How do we find networks that offer what we need and that we can, in turn, offer something back to them? My guest today is going to share her experiences. Hi, I'm Patricia Durkin, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials and interviews to help Christian writers, speakers, and artists take their message online. This is episode, I have a friendly gnat. This is episode number 140, How to Grow Your Online Network Using Non-Facebook Groups with author Kim Williams. Hello, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing so well over here. It's fun that we are in the same city, even though we're two different parts.
I know.
We're within an hour of each other. That's very unusual for me.
We'll have to meet in the middle sometime.
I like it. You've been a school teacher, a church staff member for over 2 decades. You've traveled to Russia and India and other places to train those who minister to children.
Yes.
I see the communication thread very, very easily. That's obvious. But how and when did writing 2 books, with a third one coming out next year, how did that come into the picture, Kim?
That was actually just a very personal thing for me. Back about 10 years ago, I learned about some letters that had been discovered my great-grandfather had written that none of us ever knew him or knew about him. And when I heard the words of the letters, I was intrigued. And so the story just came to me. Nobody knows the real story. And so it was a very personal thing for me to begin writing that story. It was in there, and I just had to get it out. So really, in no way was connected to the ministry that God gave me.
Had you written before? Had you considered writing before? Or was this just an epiphany time?
I had done some writing before. I did a lot of my writing for my own training, developed curriculum, that type of writing. I've written some magazine articles for different magazines. That type of thing. I already had a blog for the ministry that I had. So a little tidbit of writing. I had put together a little bit of a book for my ministry, and I just never did anything with it. I set it aside and let it die. This was a new experience for me all the way around, writing the Christian fiction.
Things do go dormant on us, don't they?
Yes.
They're there for a period of time. They have life. We're excited about them. And then they dissipate or they're put on hold indefinitely. And that's all okay, isn't it?
Yes. In the right time.
Yes. Well, let's go. We're going to talk about your books in a little bit more in just a moment. Let's talk just quickly about your speaking. You probably had so many opportunities simply because of your responsibilities and your local church. You're in charge of the ministry for children. So I'm imagining over 2 decades, you've met lots of people and you've had many opportunities to go and speak. Tell us about that, please.
Yes, I've been very, very blessed. And honestly, because of where I serve, I never had to market that. The opportunities came to me and to my peers very, very easily in the United States and abroad. So it was a real joy for me, though, to be able to go to folks who do what I do, in different cities or in different countries and help them understand how children develop, how children learn, how important that spiritual development is. Created a lot of good peers, a lot of good networking, went to places I would never have dreamt that I would go. And so it's been a wonderful experience in my life, and I thoroughly love it. I thrive on those types of scenarios, just helping others see what God wants to do through their life.
So you're a good world traveler then?
Pretty good. Yeah, all in all. I've had some experiences with Jelly Belly and a few little things like that, but all in all, I'm pretty good.
Might you have a story of something that touched you in a communication with someone that you were ministering to, or something that was funny that you just pull that out consistently and share with when you're talking about your travels?
Well, I'll tell you the first thing that comes to mind, and it's really, it's not funny, but to me it's extremely touching. And this was several years ago. We had spent time in St. Petersburg, Russia, or outside of St. Petersburg, Russia, teaching them about how to do Sunday school and how to, all that type of stuff. That was my first experience overseas, and one evening we all went to a church service together, and they were singing a hymn in Russian and we were singing it in English. And it was actually the first time that I really understood when God said every tribe, every nation, every tongue. We didn't know each other from the man on the moon. Our lives were completely different, yet we were united in that. And I'll never forget that. And I got to experience that several times in different places, but that was my first. And I carry that with me. And I don't want to forget it. I hope one day I don't forget it. But
yeah. It sounds wonderful.
It was fun.
Nice. Excuse me. And since you had people coming to you and inviting you, then, and I had the same experience through the years, so I noticed that when I went and started trying to market my message and your books, there really wasn't any background. There was no muscle developed of going out. I was used to people coming to me. And so you're going to tell us today a little bit later about how you're going out, but did you find it a challenge? Was it very natural to you once you got rolling on it? How did you work it out?
Oh,
it's a burden, isn't it?
It's natural in the sense that I like chatting and talking with people, but it was very unnatural for me because I do not like to, I'll just use this term, promote myself or draw attention to myself. And that's one of the things I'm actually going to mention is I had to really get out of my comfort zone to do that. And so it's not natural for me. To say, hey guys, I want you to notice this, or I want you to notice that. I'll be happy to do anything behind the scenes, but it's hard for me to throw myself out there. For sure.
Well, now how does that tie into the speaker aspect? Because speakers are out in front.
They are. I love being out front, but the platform's given to me. I have a hard time selling myself to get me on the platform. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
I'm very comfortable in front of a crowd. More so than one-on-one, actually.
So it's
safety in numbers.
It's that connecting piece where we have to go out in public and talk about ourselves, knowing that no one may want to hear what we're saying. We're dependent upon the Holy Spirit to guide that conversation, aren't we?
Right, absolutely. And I've watched God do that. I've watched him open a door or initiate something that I wouldn't have had the guts to do myself, or I would have been too intimidated or shy to do on my own. So I'm learning.
Your first book came out. Oh, I'm getting us ahead of myself here. Let's see.
Okay.
Does it help you in your speaking career that you, because the church is a built-in advantage that very few people have that, and it's just wonderful. It's part of God's plan for you. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Does it help that you're also a member of ASA, Advanced Writers and Speakers Association?
I think that's been a very good thing for me. I was surprised once I joined and was able to look around and see who I was in the group that I actually knew people in the group already. And a lady in my church is the one who encouraged me, and she encouraged me a year before I did it to join the group. So it has been a good networking, and even on the emails and devotions that come out, I've interacted with folks and connected with some folks that I never would have known. So it's a good platform, and for me, it's a very good platform to learn and see what these other ladies are doing and how they present themselves and what ministries they're involved in. And so it's been a good experience for me. I enjoy it.
Have you taken advantage of their training or their mentoring program? I
have not done that yet. I'm fairly new. I joined this summer.
Oh, okay.
So those are some things. I didn't get to go to the conference this time, so I've got a lot still to do out there with them. But I see what all they offer. I read their magazine that comes out. I do I interact with the ladies, but there's so much out there that I haven't tapped into yet that I'm looking forward to doing.
So even in just a few months, you see the value of belonging to that group and
absolutely. My editor was in there. I didn't even know it.
That's nice.
Like, oh, I know her.
Well, let's talk about your first book. Your first one is Among the Crepe Myrtles. Do you have that one with you?
I do. Right here. Can you see? There you go.
This is the first one, Among the Crepe Myrtles. And then the second one is When the Butterflies Dance.
Yes, right there.
Tell us, please, how you decided to name your first novel Among the Crepe Myrtles.
Well, it's just a typical story. I'll tell you, I had played around with several names, had given it a working name anyway.
Yeah.
But as how I settled with this is, honestly, I was reading through the Minor Prophets, and I came across that scripture in Hosea. We talked about the horseman that was among the crepe myrtles, and I'm like, that's it. I couldn't explain it. I just knew it. So I went in and I built that into the story.
Mm.
And that's how I came up with it. It's the truth.
Well, that makes sense. The Lord, I mean, He's involved in every part of the process,
Yes.
isn't
Yes. Yes.
And the book covers themselves have special meaning for you. Will you show those to us again slowly?
Sure. I'll do the first one. I have, over time, gotten heirlooms from my family. So this is actually a photograph of an actual postcard. And then the envelope that it came in that was mailed to what would be my great-grandmother, who is fictionalized somewhat in the protagonist in this story. So that's that. And then I keyed off the butterfly in there. I've always loved butterflies. So if you read the story, I key off of that a little bit and and just have fun with it. And then the second one, everything that you see here is real stuff, other than I did buy the butterfly, but this is an actual marriage certificate from my great-grandparents. You get to see a little bit of one of the actual letters that we had discovered. This is an actual postcard that belonged in the family. And this is the envelope that the letter came in. And then this picture is what would be my grandmother, who is fictionalized in the story a little bit. You have to read the story to find out.
I love that concept.
They're very meaningful to me.
And rightly so. Rightly so. Had you heard anyone doing that? Because that's very creative.
No, actually I hadn't. The truth is, I just kind of thought, I really like this colorful postcard. Let me see what I can do with it. So I took a picture with an iPhone, sent it to a photographer. It met the standards, and that's how I used it. I do play with the names in the book, so I have to make sure some of the envelope doesn't show because the names don't match what's in the story. And so because this was so meaningful to me, I began gathering all of this for this cover, and these are all in the story in some form or fashion.
Well, the covers themselves are really lovely, and then when you tell us the story behind that, I mean, that makes a woman's heart go pitter-pat.
Well, yay, good. It is. It's very meaningful to me. It was fun. I had a hard time with this one, but getting it looking right, but it was fun.
Do you have opportunities to speak on that time frame or the relationship between your grandparents, the core issues?
I do, actually. I'm sorry.
I was just wondering if is that part of your speaking repertoire now?
It is. When Among the Crepe Myrtles was released, I took the emotions in the book and I put together a workshop that's just my word, a training or whatever that could be shared with women about emotions and how to handle them, how not to handle them. I teamed up with my daughter, who is an amazing teacher and musician in her own right, and we packaged ourselves and sent the book and sampled the material and just said, hey, we'd love to come and do an event for your women. And so that's how we did that. Right now I've got a new grandson, so that's kind of on hiatus. But we're looking forward to doing that again. That's a dream, honestly, we've always had. So I hope God will grow that part of our ministry.
So now you do like Mother's Day things and probably teas and stuff, but do you also do writers' retreats? Weekend retreats?
I can. I would love to. Okay. Actually, I have not done one in this arena. I've done those in the ministry arena, but not with this. So yes, I would absolutely love to do that. I've got materials too that I put together for the second book, so that's kind of the diving board that I use to open up my material that I'm going to talk about. So.
It seems like that would just be a very healing time for participants to go in and really dig down into the scriptures and the story. It just sounds like that would just be a great package.
Thank you. I think so. And when I write, when I read even, I'm very character oriented. I'm more interested in the person maybe than the overall story. I want to see how the person struggles, how they change, and how they do that. And so it makes it real easy to find material that we can all relate to share with women and that type of thing.
because we all need that information, don't we? We have those
Mhm.
problems, or we know someone and love someone
Yes,
who has those problems.
exactly.
It's too
Exactly.
prevalent. Let me check Facebook, Kim, and see if we have any questions or comments. Janet McHenry says, excuse me, Janet McHenry says, hello, hello, hello. So good to see you, Janet, as always. Let me also check my Facebook page because we're broadcast simultaneously. It takes just a moment. Blah, 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 blah. There we go. We're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, so let's talk about these two books and the one that you're working on for next year. Both Crepe Myrtle and Butterflies That Dance. Both of those were released in June, 1 year after the other.
Yes.
So you've got a third one. Are you going to release it in June next year, do you think?
That's the goal. That is the goal. So that's the goal that it's being worked toward, yes. Just to kind of keep that going.
And you said that your grandparents' story was lost to time, the end result. You don't know if they reconciled and had a wonderful life or not.
Well, I know they didn't reconcile. I can tell you that because he was never in my grandmother's life.
Oh.
Period. So we don't know how they got together. We don't know what he did that caused them to separate. And we don't know why she chose the route that she chose when he asked for forgiveness. And that's it. My grandmother didn't know. My mother didn't know.
Wow, that's very sad. And yet your book isn't the close next year, in next year's third book. Right. That's going to still be historical fiction. So you can do what you want to with this.
Yes, because these stem from the emotions in the letters, but the story is fictional. Yes, there's threads of reality and threads of truth and threads from memories and things like that in there, but the story itself is fictional.
I read in one of your interviews that you said that that his words were so deeply emotional in the letters that you saw. Tell us about that, please.
Oh my goodness, I wish I would have put one in front of me. They really were heart-wrenching. He is literally begging to be reunited. One phrase he says cracks, it's kind of funny. I guess it was good for his time, but he's like, if you show me a man who's made no mistakes, I'll show you a glass house. And so he just would write words, sentences like that over and over, and he would just talk about how his love for her just continued to grow and how he longed to be with her, and that she must not love him like he loves her, and just heart-wrenching. And then you start talking about the child involved, and he's literally begging
gracious
to be forgiven.
That takes us to a sad place, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So he's either a really good writer or something, but very emotional letters, very emotional letters.
And you call this trilogy your letters to Layton.
Mm-hmm.
Who or what is Layton, Kim?
Well, Layton is a fictional town, but it is based on the town where this actually really happened, like where my mother grew up and that type of thing. And in Texas, that is actually Lavon, Lavon. But I fictionalized the story. Since I fictionalized the story, I fictionalized that town. And so I just came up with Layton. I liked the sound of it, and it's really just one letter off, a couple letters off from the thing. My son actually came up with that phrase. He's like, "Oh, you could call it Letters to Layton." I'm like, I like that.
It's lyrical, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. In the book, there's towns that are fictionalized, but there's also references to real things in that area of Texas, in the Dallas area. So, yeah.
I get to interview really interesting people like yourself who are very talented writers, and they say that is absolutely a major part. Go where you are, or find out, do your research, and put in actual information about that, references, local places or historical oddities, or fill in the blank, landmarks, things like that.
Yes, I just came from a trip like that recently, last week, for what I'm working on now. So yeah, and for the future. So, this one was easy because I kind of grew up there, and so I had a lot of just inbred memories in there, and a lot of family there. So it was a little easy on these two. So.
Do you think that the third one will be more challenging? Because you get to set the course for the third one.
Absolutely. And yes, it is a little bit, it's already proven to be a little bit more challenging, but that's exciting to me because I am, even though this happens, what I'm about to say happened in the first two stories, it's really happening more in the third. I'm learning as I go. I'm getting to know this character as I go. And I may or may not know exactly what this character is going to do. Right. And there is nothing out there that's kind of, quote, preconceived at all. It's true fiction. And that's been fun for me, but hard.
Yes. I also read somewhere that you said that you interview your characters. Now tell us all about that and how that helps you.
Well, I do. I've done that a couple of ways. I've written letters and then had them write back to answer the questions in my letters. I've asked them questions to try to figure out their emotions and how they respond. And what that does is it lets me get to know the character because I want my characters to be individuals in the book. I don't want them to all sound alike, react alike, talk alike. And I can't write about them if I don't know them. So if I don't know what makes them feel afraid, I need to ask them that. And so asking that forces me to think. To really think. And sometimes this sounds kind of schizo, but I'm kind of surprised by their answers. But it makes them real to me. It makes them more than a character that I came up with. It makes them a person to me. And that
a well-rounded, three-dimensional character. There's something about being asked a question that you can know in your heart the answers and how you would shape things, and whether it's fictional, non-fictional, writing, or paying the bills, raising children, whatever it is. But when you're asked a question, then there are parameters set there, aren't they?
Yes.
You have to pull things out of yourself that you wouldn't have to otherwise.
Exactly. I kind of draw back to my experience with working with children. It's like too often we talk for children instead of asking them questions that cause them to speak so we know what they're thinking. And so I kind of take that approach with my characters as well.
That's very wise. I like that. Let me check Facebook again and see if we have any customers.
Oh, customers are good.
Yes, they are. Let's see. And we're doing good. Do you feel that this will be the end of your writing journey when you finish this trilogy, or is this the beginning of something? Do you know yet?
I really don't think it's the end at all. I love it. I love writing. I truly love it. And I love my characters, so I kind of think that I may pull a minor character that's kind of a mention here and there and build something for them. I don't know exactly, but no, I don't feel that this is the end. It's the end of this trilogy, but not the end.
And since you're the creator, you get to decide when and where, don't you, and how?
Yes. And I love the era that I'm writing in. It's always been my favorite era, and the story just happened to fall in that era. So that's fun. I'll probably stick around that era.
That's your favorite era, yes. And the story that you're writing now is set in that era.
Yes.
I'm sensing the Lord's doing here. You are going to tell us 3 ways that new authors can, and of course anyone, even established authors, can grow their online network. This is so very important. But you're mentioning it with a twist, not using Facebook groups.
Yes, I love Facebook. I use Facebook. But I'm not going to talk about Facebook. And actually, what I want to say is, when I'm talking about this, I'm brand spanking new to this whole thing. I mean, there's hundreds of stars in the sky, and I just happen to be a little star and hope I twinkle at just the right time for someone to see it. But this is what I'm still actively and consistently working on. I'm not sitting back going, oh, I did this and it's working great, and I'm twiddling my thumbs now. This is hard work. I did not know hard work. One of the first things that I did was I began to follow bloggers. I would follow their blog. I would follow them on Twitter, whatever other social medias they have. I follow bloggers who are writers, but primarily I started following bloggers that review books. And I began to ask them, would you review my book? would you do an author interview, that type of thing. And that has proven to be a really good thing for me. What I didn't know when I started doing that is a lot of these bloggers are interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had opportunities come up that were the result of something on one blog, and now I get to go on another blog and that type of thing. So that was a big deal for me. I thought I've got to get out there. So I follow blogs. I still try to find new ones to follow, and that type of thing. So that was probably the first thing I did.
Do you also follow, excuse me, writers who also write in that era? Or
yes, I tried to do that. Yes, I do. And I read their books because I'll read a book that's from that era, or I'll read a book that's on a particular topic just to see how they handled that topic. Because I'm always learning. I have to learn and stuff. So yeah, so reading's kind of taken on a different light for me. I love it, but I also use it as a learning tool. Christian, fiction reading, that kind of thing.
Do you find it overwhelming, or has the Lord helped you? Because you've already been a very busy person for a long time. So have you already developed a way to separate your personal from your professional so that one doesn't take over all of them?
Yes, I had to work hard on that, especially when I started delving into the whole growing my audience on the social media outside of my sphere of influence and my circle of friends and acquaintances. So yes, I was overwhelmed, quite honestly. Almost worked in a frenzy and fretted over, I got to do this today. I've got to check this today. I got to do this. Got to make sure I get a tweet out today. And I got to make sure I put this on Instagram. And I finally just said, stop. And actually God used a fellow writer to help me stop. But so now I'm organized. And that's one thing is with the social media, I have to be organized. So I have a schedule that I follow for social media. I have a schedule that I follow for when I sit down and do anything related to my book. And it's a schedule my husband and I have worked out. And so I do my job in the day, and this other stuff happens on my own personal time.
And so you still have personal time?
I do. I tell you what, my children are all grown, so it's just my husband and I, and that's a different aspect to life. But it is conducive to what I call coming home and working another job.
Yes. So we were going to talk about Goodreads. I'll just go over them very quickly. Goodreads, All Author, and ASA, which is, again, Advanced Writers and Speakers Association. So tell us how you found out about All Author.
Well, that's one of the things that, I started following bloggers and requesting reviews and that type of thing. Another thing I had to do was think of myself as an author. And if you go back to what I said earlier, that I don't like to promote myself, that was really hard for me. So when I did that, I began just Googling and searching and looking what's out there for authors. And so there's a lot of organizations out there. All Authors is one. You're one. I use BookBub this way as an author, Goodreads as an author. And they give you platforms for marketing your book. They give you platforms for communicating with other authors. They give you platforms for advertising and marketing. And so those have been extremely useful to me. Very, very useful. And I've learned a lot from them. And I've got a whole list of other ones I haven't even gone to yet to look into and examine. Some are paid, some are free. Some are paid, some are free. But those have proven to really help me tremendously. You can put your tweets on a schedule. You can pull photos and help advertise. You can talk back and forth with different authors, and it's good. That whole area has been helpful for me. And with Goodreads in particular, I think, blogging, thinking of myself as an author and joining author groups. But then the third thing that really helped me was I began to offer to do reviews, and really Goodreads, I'll use that as an example, is a good platform for that. There are groups on there that authors can join and readers can join, and they review by genre. You have discussions and things like that by genre. So my account had been dormant, so I kind of brought it up to date, and then I joined some of these groups, and we review each other's work back and forth, and that's been very, very helpful to me too, is just offering to do reviews, as I also asked to have reviews done.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And I'm hearing you describe on 3 different platforms, ASA, All Author, and Goodreads. And that's not the only 3, but there's the ones that we're
No,
talking about right now.
there's more.
These are places online that are community oriented. They're
Yes.
there to serve and to
Yes.
spread the news about authors and good writing.
Exactly. And that's why I think there's such a good thing for, especially a new author, to tap into. Just get out of your comfort zone, get in there, throw yourself in there, and use some of these resources that are, like I said, there's more I haven't even tapped into. I came across another one the other day. I'm like, I didn't know about that. I have to look into it. They also give you opportunities to enter your book in contest and just things like that. So it helps you spread your word out there in the social arena and touch people and that you'd never, ever actually cross paths with. So.
And who knows, once you develop relationships here and here and here, who are those people that he is going to orchestrate another meeting somewhere else?
Exactly.
The next day or the month or the next year. But it would never happen if you hadn't joined in the first place.
Exactly. So I just had to, like I said, get over it and join and put myself out there.
What's your next big challenge? Do you have one in mind other than what we've talked about?
Well, the writing it's a fun challenge. I am really much considering maybe beginning to do podcasts. Again, that's out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I think I would like to do that. I think that's another area that I can reach, that I can communicate with people that I haven't tapped into. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I'm looking at is taking some of my materials and actually podcasting them out. So
that sounds exciting.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm learning about that.
Oh, gracious. Let me check before we close out. Let me check Facebook one more time, please. Right. Let's see if anything's going on here. There we are. Okay, we're doing good. Viewers, everything that we've talked about today, these resources, they're going to be listed above the video so immediately after the episode ends. If you have any questions of Kim about what she's doing, the groups that she's discovering, how she's serving them or how they're helping her, please, even after the video, even after the episode is over, feel free to ask a question or make a comment, because she'll be happy to share that information with you. It has been wonderful to talk to someone so close to where we both live.
I'm coming your way sometime.
I'm really intrigued by your book covers. They're really lovely, really lovely.
Thank you. You've encouraged me. Thank you very much.
I see a lot, and I'm visually oriented, even though I'm also visually impaired. And I like a lot of them, but that one, you combine the story behind it, just takes it to a whole new level.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, before we sign off, what are you going to do for the cover for the third one? Have you already got that in your mind?
I'm trying to think about it. I'm going through the heirlooms that I have, and I don't know yet, but I am dogged and determined to stick with this theme.
Yes. It's very compelling. Very compelling.
Thank you. That's encouraging me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. My honor.
Viewers, we thank you for being here also, whether you're watching live or in the replay. We thank you for being here. We're here to serve you every weekday, 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. We want to help you take your message online, and this is the way that we do this, by learning from other people who have already done that. Next week, we've got something really special for you. Next week is Breast Cancer Awareness Week at Marketers on a Mission. I so hope that you can join us. Each day, a different Christian author will share her faith journey of hope will share her faith journey as she or someone she loves was diagnosed with breast cancer. And these are rich. These women are accomplished Christian authors. They have walked this path. They're still here. They have a story to tell of God's provision, His miraculous, in some cases healing, in some cases not. But anyway, whichever way the circumstances fell, He was with them and their family. We need to know that. We need fresh stories of his deliverance and his companionship, don't we, Kim?
Yes, we do.
It never gets old. We always need him another day.
That's right.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you again, Kim. We will see you next week right here